Imagine getting answers to a mystery after, gosh, almost 50 years.
Wow.
That's what happened to the family of Joann Vicky Smith, a young woman who disappeared in the 1970s.
Right.
Her case went cold for years until 2023 when forensic genealogy finally gave her back her name.
Wow. That's incredible.
47 years after she was found deceased in rural Illinois.
That is a long time.
You've given us an article all about this cold case.
Yeah.
And I'm really eager to kind of get into the details.
Yeah.
The combination of old school detective work and this really cutting edge DNA technology that led to this. I mean, it's an incredible resolution.
It's remarkable, how advancements in forensic science can breathe new life into these cases that were once considered unsolvable.
Absolutely.
And what we'll uncover in this deep dive is how Joann's story went from, a nameless Jane Doe in an unmarked grave to a woman who's finally recognized, given back her identity.
It's amazing.
It is.
The article starts by taking us back to October 1976.
Okay.
In Grundy County, Illinois, a young woman's body is discovered, and there are signs of trauma.
Oh.
She's estimated to be between 15 and 27 years old.
Okay.
With brown hair and a petite build. And here's where the mystery really begins.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who she is.
Right.
The location itself, this secluded rural area, immediately adds to the intrigue, right? It begs the question, how did she end up in such a remote place?
Exactly.
Was she brought there against her will? Is it someone she knew?
Right.
These are the kinds of questions that I think must have just plagued investigators.
Oh, yeah.
As they tried to, piece together what happened.
Yeah, I was trying to retrace her steps. Figure out where she came from.
And the lack of identification must have been incredibly frustrating.
Oh, I can imagine.
They checked missing person reports. They circulated her description. They even created sketches. But nothing matched.
Wow.
Imagine those dead ends.
Yeah.
The hope dwindling with each passing day.
I bet it was really hard to keep going with that.
Yeah.
With those kinds of dead ends.
Absolutely.
You just run out of leads. You run out of places to look.
Right.
Well.
So Jane Doe, as she was called, was laid to rest in an unmarked grave.
Wow.
But the case, thankfully, wasn't forgotten. Now, fast forward to the late 1990s, early 2000s, DNA profiling takes the world by storm. It's revolutionizing forensic science.
It really did.
And suddenly, there's this incredible new tool that could potentially unlock the answers in cold cases across the country.
That's got to be a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
Providing all these new avenues for investigators to explore.
Absolutely.
In Joann's case, that new chapter, it begins in 2020. When the Grundy County Sheriff's Office, they're dedicated.
Right.
They reopen her case.
Wow.
They decide to exhume her remains.
Okay.
Which is a process of carefully digging up the buried body.
Right.
So they could get a DNA sample.
Wow.
It's painstaking.
Yeah.
But potentially revolutionary.
I can imagine. Then this is where it gets really fascinating, I think.
Okay.
They don't just use standard DNA analysis. They combine it with genetic genealogy.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it sounds almost futuristic.
It really is cutting edge.
Yeah.
It's like merging, traditional detective work with ancestry research.
So it's like searching for relatives.
Yeah.
But instead of starting with a name, they're starting with DNA.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's not just looking for, immediate family. They're searching for any connection, however distant.
Wow.
And these genealogists, they're incredibly skilled at tracing lineages, back through generations, following these threads of DNA.
Right.
Like a puzzle, a complex puzzle.
So, think of websites like GE Match.
Exactly.
Where people voluntarily upload their DNA profiles to connect with relatives.
Right.
That shared information becomes this vast network that investigators can explore.
Exactly.
So these databases that were initially intended for family history research end up playing this crucial role in solving crimes.
Exactly. That's what's so fascinating about it.
That's incredible.
It's a testament to the interconnectedness of information.
Right.
In the digital age.
Absolutely.
And in Joann's case, that interconnectedness led to a breakthrough in 2023.
Okay.
After 47 years of anonymity,
wow,
they found a match.
Wow.
a distant relative in one of these databases.
Can you imagine that moment?
That must have been amazing.
Decades of not knowing, and then suddenly there's this link.
There's a connection.
A potential connection to her past. It must have been electric.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
From that one match, genealogists were able to piece together a family tree, tracing the branches back until they land on a name, Joann Vicky Smith.
Wow.
She had been missing from Harvey, Illinois since the mid-1970s.
So it's like this missing piece of a jigsaw puzzle finally clicking into place.
Right.
But what I also find really striking is that no missing persons report was ever filed for Joann.
Really?
Yeah. The article mentions she was born in 1950 and led a troubled life, estranged from her family.
Wow.
So that adds another layer of complexity to the story, don't you think?
It certainly does.
Yeah.
It raises questions about, the circumstances that led to her estrangement.
Right.
The challenges she might have faced.
Yeah.
And whether anyone even knew to search for her when she disappeared.
It paints this picture of a life that might have been overlooked.
Yeah.
A story that was lost until science and these really dedicated investigators brought it back into focus.
It's really remarkable.
It makes you wonder about all the untold stories out there.
It does.
The people who slip through the cracks, whose disappearances go unnoticed.
Right.
And Joann's case, it shines a light on those often forgotten lives.
It does, and it makes you realize how important it is to, to advocate for everyone.
Right.
And make sure that nobody's overlooked.
Absolutely.
And that their stories are told.
Yeah, everyone deserves to be remembered.
They do. It's a stark reminder that not all missing persons cases, are treated equally.
Right.
Sometimes the circumstances of a person's life, like estrangement from family, can really make them more vulnerable to disappearing without a trace.
And in Joann's case, that lack of a missing persons report likely hindered that initial investigation.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's a tragic example of how, societal factors can play a role in whether or not a case gets the attention that it deserves.
It highlights the importance of advocating for those who are marginalized, those whose voices might not be heard as loudly.
Right. Everyone deserves to be remembered, to have their story told.
Exactly.
Now, while identifying Joann brings a sense of closure to her family, it also kind of opens up a new chapter in the investigation.
It does.
The article mentions that her cause of death is still under investigation.
Okay.
And authorities are hopeful that with her identity revealed, new leads might emerge.
Like a whole new avenue of inquiry has opened up.
Right.
Now investigators can really delve into her background, her relationships, and try to retrace her steps in the time leading up to her disappearance.
Maybe someone who knew Joann might come forward now that they know that she's been identified.
Exactly. Maybe they have information that they didn't think was relevant before.
Right.
Or were hesitant to share for fear of getting involved.
It's fascinating to think about how the passage of time can both obscure and reveal the truth.
Yeah.
In this case, the advancement of technology, particularly in the field of DNA analysis, has allowed us to revisit a case that was frozen in time.
It was.
For almost half a century.
It's a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of answers.
It makes you think about the investigators who worked on this case back in 1976.
Right.
They likely never imagined that a tool like genetic genealogy would one day exist and could potentially lead to a resolution.
Absolutely.
It makes you appreciate the dedication of everyone involved in this case.
Yeah.
From the original investigators to the forensic scientists.
The genealogists.
And the genealogists who worked tirelessly to bring Joann's story back to light.
It really was a collaborative effort. A testament to what can be accomplished when different disciplines come together with a shared goal.
We've talked about the scientific advancements.
Yeah.
But what do you think this identification means for Joann's family?
Well, it's hard to fathom the mix of emotions they must be experiencing.
I can imagine.
After 47 years of uncertainty. They finally have an answer to the question of what happened to Joann.
It's a form of closure.
It is.
But it's also a confirmation of their loss.
Right.
A realization that she's gone and likely met with foul play.
It's a bittersweet resolution, you know.
It is, to say the least.
To say the least, they can finally put a name to the face.
Right.
That they may have carried in their memories for all those years.
Right.
But it comes with that, heartbreaking knowledge that her life was cut short.
And while there's a sense of relief in knowing,
right,
there's also likely many unanswered questions.
Yeah.
What were the circumstances surrounding her disappearance? Who was responsible?
Right.
These are questions that might linger.
They do.
Long after the initial shock of identification subsides.
Exactly. Sometimes even with answers, that sense of peace might remain elusive.
Right.
There are always lingering doubts, unanswered questions.
Yeah.
And the pain of loss, it may never fully heal.
But even in the face of those complexities,
yeah,
I imagine there's a profound sense of validation.
Absolutely.
For Joann's family in knowing that she wasn't forgotten.
Right, that people cared enough to keep searching, even after all this time.
Her case is also a testament to the growing importance of genetic genealogy.
It is.
In solving cold cases.
What other implications do you see this technology having
Yeah.
on criminal justice and the way we approach unsolved mysteries?
Well, it's already having a profound impact.
It is.
It's not only helping to identify victims,
Right.
but also leading to the apprehension of perpetrators in cases that were once thought to be unsolvable.
It's giving hope to families who have been waiting for answers for years, sometimes even decades.
It's fascinating to think about how a tool
It is.
that was initially developed for ancestry research is now being used to bring criminals to justice and provide closure to families.
It's a prime example of how seemingly disparate fields can intersect in really unexpected and powerful ways.
And it's just the tip of the iceberg.
It is.
As DNA technology continues to advance and as more people contribute to these public databases, the potential applications of genetic genealogy will only continue to grow.
Absolutely.
We're likely to see even more cold cases resolved.
Yes.
More families reunited.
More perpetrators held accountable.
And more perpetrators held accountable for their actions.
Exactly.
It's an exciting time for forensic science.
It is.
But it's also a time for reflection. As we delve deeper into this world of DNA and genetic information, we need to consider the ethical implications.
Absolutely. We're dealing with sensitive personal data.
Right.
And it's crucial to use this technology responsibly.
Right.
And with respect for privacy.
You raise a crucial point.
I think, with any powerful tool, there's a responsibility to wield it carefully.
Right.
And ethically.
Absolutely.
Striking that balance between the potential benefits of solving crimes and protecting individual privacy is a complex challenge.
It is.
That requires ongoing dialogue
and
careful consideration.
It's a reminder that scientific advancements should always go hand in hand.
They should.
With ethical considerations.
Absolutely.
It's not just about what we can do, but also what we should do.
Precisely. And I believe that by engaging in, thoughtful discussions about the implications of this technology, we can ensure that it's used for good, to bring justice and healing to those who've been affected by crime and loss.
Joann's story is a powerful example
It is.
of how science and human perseverance can come together to uncover the truth.
It's a story that gives hope to families still waiting for answers and reminds us that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, the pursuit of justice should never be abandoned. It really is a story that underscores the importance of never giving up, of always seeking answers and recognizing the inherent value of every human life.
And Joann's story, while tragic, is ultimately one of resilience.
It is.
Despite the difficult circumstances she faced in life, she's now remembered. Her name is etched in public records.
It is.
And her case serves as a beacon of hope for other cold cases.
Absolutely.
Waiting to be solved.
It's a reminder that every unidentified person has a story waiting to be told. A family hoping for answers. And a legacy that deserves to be honored.
What strikes me is how this case challenges our traditional notions of closure. Is it solely about finding the perpetrator and bringing them to justice? Or is there a measure of progress simply in knowing who the victim was? In restoring their name and their story to the world?
That's a profound question. And I think it goes to the heart of what makes these cases so compelling. closure isn't a one-size-fits-all concept.
Right.
For some, it might be about holding someone accountable for the crime.
Right.
But for others, it might be the simple act of giving a name back to someone who was lost and forgotten, of acknowledging their existence and their humanity.
In Joann's case, knowing her name allows us to see her as more than just a Jane Doe.
Exactly.
It allows us to start piecing together the puzzle of her life, to understand her story.
To give her the dignity she was denied for so long.
And that in itself is a powerful form of closure.
It is.
It allows for a sense of peace, of acknowledging the loss.
And of honoring the memory of someone who might otherwise have remained nameless. And forgotten.
I keep thinking about the ripple effect of these cases.
Yeah.
One identification can lead to another.
Right.
As more people become aware of the power of genetic genealogy.
Right. And the possibility of finding answers.
It's like a chain reaction of hope, isn't it?
It really is. And it highlights that collective effort.
Yeah.
Involved in solving these mysteries.
Right.
You've got law enforcement agencies, scientists, genealogists.
Everyday people who contribute their DNA to these databases.
Exactly.
All playing a role in bringing these stories back to light.
It really is a fascinating intersection of science history
and human connection.
It makes you realize that every name, every face in a cold case file represents a life lived.
It does.
A story waiting to be told.
And in some cases, like Joann's technology gives us the tools to finally unlock those stories.
I find it incredibly inspiring.
Me too.
It's a reminder that even in the face of tragedy and unanswered questions,
the pursuit of truth and justice can prevail.
It can.
It might take years, even decades.
Right.
But the possibility of answers is always there.
It is.
This deep dive has been incredibly thought-provoking.
It has.
We've explored the intricacies of a cold case investigation.
Yeah.
The power of genetic genealogy.
Right.
The multifaceted nature of closure.
And what lingers for me the most is that human story at the heart of it all.
Absolutely, me too.
Joann's story is a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit.
Yeah.
The power of hope.
It is.
And the importance of never giving up on the search for answers.
It's been a fascinating discussion, and thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you for having me.